Hey guys, it's our last week in Isaiah. Yay! It's been a really good journey, right? We're nearing the end of the year, so don't give up yet. And if you're just joining us, it's not too late to start. Keep that in mind too. So we're going to start in Isaiah 58. This week is Isaiah 58 to 66, which is the end of Isaiah. So again, I have prayerfully selected what I think you're going to get the most from, what I feel you're going to get the most from. So hoping that someone out there needs this message. I know that last week I had someone message me, or actually they called me and said I really needed to hear what you said today, so that was cool, and I'm like, that makes it all worth it. So if you get a little bit out of this, great. If you get a whole lot out of this, fantastic. And if it's just what you need, then that is good with me, and it just needs to be one of you. Alright, let's get into it. So I said we're in 58. We're going to look at verses 3 and then 5 to 6, and this is all around the law of fasting, because a lot of people still wonder and don't quite understand the depth of what it means. And struggle to explain it to people when you're asked, why are you fasting? What's fasting? And they're like, it's hard to explain it to someone who's not experienced that or doesn't have our beliefs in that. So let's have a look, right? Okay. Verse 3 says, "Wherefore have we fasted, say thee, and thou seest not? Wherefore have we afflicted our soul, and thou takest no knowledge? Behold, in the day of your fast ye find pleasure, and exact all your labours." And to 5, "It is such a fast that I have chosen, or is it such a fast that I have chosen, a day for a man to afflict his soul? Is it to bow down his head as a bulrush, and to spread sackcloth and ashes unto him? Wilt thou call this a fast and an acceptable day to the Lord?" That's the Lord questioning what the people were saying. And their comments were in 3. And then he goes on to say in 6, "Is not this the fast that I have chosen? To loose the bands of wickedness, to undo the heavy burdens, and to let the oppressed go free, and that you break every yoke." That's what the fast is. So let's break this down. So in verse 3, it's like the people are saying, haven't you noticed all our fasting? Haven't you paid attention to our humility? And then Christ asks if what they're doing is his way of fasting, or are they just like, He asks, is your behaviour of affliction and woe is me Christ's intention for you? Are we missing the why to the law of the fast? Because remember, if you're doing that, you're just going without food. And they were behaving like, we're going without food, where's our blessings? We're doing the whole, we're trodden down, we're broken, with that. And it's like, well, Christ is like, I didn't mean it like that. You've got it wrong there. Fasting is not just about going without food, and it's not about being humble. And the way that you're saying, haven't you paid attention to our humility? That's not being humble at all, is it? So, what is exactly the law of the fast, and what does he mean? So that's what he goes on to explain. So in verse 6, he explains that fasting is a plea for help. It's a greater measure of connection, more than prayer. He wants to undo your heavy burden and break every yoke, to deliver. So are you in the fasting in the Lord's way, or are you just going without food? So what exactly is a fast to you? Now, a fast to me looks different because I need to take medication that needs to be taken with food. So I cannot go without the food, but I can have like a less exciting piece of gluten-free toast, although that in itself is pretty unexciting, but yeah, there are ways we can do that, and we can still have the spirit of the fast, and it's about refocusing on Christ. The going without food is a way to have that, I feel hungry. Why am I doing this again? To refocus on Christ. Why am I doing this again? So I can have a deeper connection to Christ. You don't actually have to go without food to feel that deeper connection, but it is a physical reminder that you're trying to reconnect or connect better spiritually, if that makes sense. Oh, noisy people outside. Anyway, so that's what it is. You don't have to go without the food, but it is an easy way, and it's not bad for you to miss 2 meals. It's actually quite good for you. Now, if you've got health issues like me, then you know what you need to do and what you don't need to do. But missing a couple of meals, it's not going to cause malnutrition or bad nutrition or anything like that if you are otherwise healthy. Maybe you need to talk to your doctor about doing this, and maybe they'll give you some advice. However, the whole point of going without the food it's not just to be without food. It's to, yeah, as I said, to get that closer connection to Christ, to remind you of the purpose of why you're doing this. It's not to be, oh, woe is me, oh, haven't you noticed how humbly I do it? No. It's about having that closer relationship, that deeper connection, because you're reminded of what you're doing and what that purpose of those hours that you're doing it in are for. We often will also fast as a church to, when someone's sick, we ask, can we all fast, or can we all fast for a purpose? And in that time of going without the food, when we do get hungry, why am I doing this again? I want that, and I'm going to pray for that. It just gives us a more focal point because we're taking out something so there's room for something else. Yeah. But no, you don't actually have to go without food, but you can train it. And I think as you get older and sort of more used to doing that, you don't need to go without the food, but it does help you remind you of that. Yeah, so what is fasting to you? The point is here to do it in the Lord's way because of what He's trying to give you, to make room for that. So have a think about that and see where you fall on that. Elder Joseph B. Worthington, when he was alive, he said, fasting and prayer can help develop within us courage and confidence. When we fast, our righteous prayers and petitions have greater power. Now, why do they have greater power? Because we feel closer to Christ, because we're more focused on Christ. That's why they have greater power. If you haven't fasted in this kind of way, I challenge you to do it. Again, if you can't go without food, there are ways you can do it. Drink only water. Maybe you do that anyway, because I do. But, there's other ways to do it. There's other things you can go without. Every year I practice Lent. Just to remind myself of taking that something out to help me focus and get more grounded with Christ. And I love doing that. So even though I'm not Catholic, I think Lent's a really good idea. And we get to do that, once a month we're asked to do that. It's not a hard ask, but there's a way to do something. If you can't go without the food, what can you go without? So that when you don't have it, you can remind yourself why you're doing what you're doing. There you go. And what's the why? Jesus, absolutely. Cool. That's insight number 1. Hang around for number 2. We're going to go talk about fast offering. I'll see you there.